What if your everyday college turned into a place of nightmares when the sun sets? Imagine the hallowed halls of academia, where minds are nurtured and futures built, transforming into corridors of fear as twilight descends. This isn't your typical college experience, but it's the chilling reality for those who dare to tread these haunted grounds. There's a palpable sense of dread that lingers in the air, a cold chill that seeps into your bones, a whisper of a presence that's never quite alone. Students and staff alike speak of eerie sightings, of spectral figures moving in the shadows, of strange sounds echoing through the silence of the night. There are tales of unexplainable incidents, of doors slamming shut with no one there, of lights flickering with no logical explanation. These are not mere stories, spun to spook the faint-hearted, but bone-chilling accounts that defy logic and reason. Tonight, we uncover the truth behind these terrifying tales. Every haunted place has a dark history, and our college is no different. Less than a century ago, the college was a bustling center for education, a beacon of knowledge in a world of uncertainty. But as with all places that have stood the test of time, it's seen its share of sorrow. Records from the early 20th century tell tales of tragic events, each one leaving an indelible mark on the college's history. In the roaring 20s, the college was struck by a devastating fire. Flames engulfed the main building, reducing it to ashes. 7 lives were lost in the inferno, among them 4 brilliant students and 3 dedicated faculty members, their hopes, dreams, and potential all extinguished in one tragic night. Just a couple of decades later, in the midst of the Great Depression, the college became a sanctuary for those seeking solace from the harsh realities of life. But the weight of despair proved too much for some. The library, once a place of learning, saw 2 suicides within a year. Then came the 40s, a time of global conflict. The college, like many institutions, was not spared the effects of the Second World War. It lost many of its finest to the brutality of the battlefield, their futures cut tragically short. These events have left an eerie imprint on the college. Whispers of spectral figures in the burnt-out shell of the main building, the faint sound of weeping in the library, and cold gusts of wind on a still day have all been reported. Some say it's the spirits of those lost, still lingering, still attached to the place they once called home. The college's history is steeped in tragedy, its very walls imbued with the echoes of the past. Each event, each loss has contributed to the aura of mystery and unease that permeates the campus. It's a history that's alive, that breathes, that haunts. The past is often a key to the present. Could these tragic events be the cause of our current hauntings? Talks of ghostly encounters are common among students and staff. In fact, many have come forward with their own unsettling stories, each one more chilling than the last. Let's delve into a few of these personal accounts. Let's start with a tale from a former student. She recalls studying late one night in the library when she felt a cold gust of wind. Looking up from her book, she saw a figure dressed in an old-fashioned graduation robe. As she looked into its eyes, she felt a sense of dread and despair. The figure then disappeared, leaving her alone in the eerie silence. She never stayed late in the library again. Then there's the account of a janitor who worked the night shift. He often heard footsteps echoing through the empty halls. One night he decided to investigate. As he turned a corner, he saw a shadowy figure dart into a classroom. He followed, only to find the room empty. But he could still hear the faint sound of chalk writing on a blackboard. He left his job soon after. A professor also has a tale to share. She was grading papers one evening when she felt someone watching her. She turned around to find a young woman in a vintage dress standing by the window. The woman seemed to be crying, but when the professor approached her, she vanished into thin air. The professor still feels an unsettling presence in her office to this day. And finally, a group of students once decided to explore the supposedly haunted clock tower. As they ascended the stairs, they heard whispers and felt an inexplicable chill. When they reached the top, they found an old, dusty graduation cap. No one knows how it got there or who it belonged to. These personal experiences only add more fuel to the fire of rumors. Determined to uncover the truth, we invited paranormal investigators to explore the college grounds. The investigators arrived at dusk, their equipment casting long, uncanny shadows across the cobblestone paths. Their mission was clear: to delve into the spectral secrets cloaked within the ancient walls of this haunted college. No stone was left unturned as the team began their inquiry, starting with the infamous bell tower. Legend says the tolling of the bell at midnight can sometimes be heard, even though the bell itself was removed over a century ago. The investigators placed sensitive recording devices in the tower, hoping to capture any spectral sounds. As they left, an icy chill seemed to follow them down, a cold, wordless warning from the unseen. Next, they ventured into the labyrinthine library, where countless students had reported the feeling of being watched. The investigators' thermal cameras scanned rows of dust-laden books in shadow-drenched alcoves. Their breath caught as a sudden drop in temperature was registered, a classic sign of paranormal activity. Yet, as quickly as it came, the cold spot vanished, leaving behind a palpable sense of unease. As the night deepened, the team dared to enter the old dormitory, a hotbed of spectral sightings. The air here was thick with a heavy silence, the kind that seems to swallow sound. Suddenly, their electromagnetic field detector began to waver wildly, indicating the presence of an unseen entity. A spectral voice seemed to whisper through their audio equipment, an inaudible conversation from another time. The investigators pressed on into the early hours of the morning, exploring the deserted classrooms, the forgotten basement, and the eerily silent sports hall. Every creak was scrutinized, every shadow interrogated. In the science lab, a flask inexplicably shattered, its shards scattering like frightened birds. In the art room, their infrared cameras picked up an unexplainable figure, a fleeting silhouette that disappeared as quickly as it appeared. Despite the mounting evidence of the supernatural, the investigators found no definitive proof. Every eerie occurrence, every chill, every spectral whisper only deepened the mystery. The ghostly inhabitants of the college seemed to revel in their elusive nature, playing a spectral game of hide-and-seek with their mortal guests. As dawn broke, the team packed up their equipment, their faces etched with exhaustion and perplexity. They had ventured into the spectral heart of the college, only to find themselves lost in its ghostly labyrinth. The haunted college, it seemed, was determined to guard its secrets, its spectral inhabitants content to remain hidden in the shadows. The investigators left with more questions than answers. Despite the investigations, the mystery remains unsolved. The haunted college, a place of learning steeped in enigma, continues to perplex and fascinate in equal measure. The debate rages on, the scales of disbelief and conviction constantly teetering, never quite settling. Is it all a figment of overactive imaginations, or is there something more, something lurking in the corners of our perception? Some argue that the lack of concrete evidence is indicative of a simple truth, that there are no restless spirits roaming the halls, no spectral entities reaching out from beyond. They point to the countless investigations, the hours of footage and the reels of audio recordings that have turned up nothing more than whispers of the wind and shadows cast by the moonlight. Yet there are others who stand firm in their belief. They speak of chilling experiences that are hard to dismiss, of strange occurrences that have become an almost daily part of life within the college's time-worn walls. They talk of an eerie feeling of being watched, of inexplicable cold drafts and disembodied voices echoing in the silence of the night. The college's haunting, they say, isn't something that can be captured on film or recorded on tape, but a deeply personal encounter, a brush with the unknown that sends shivers down one's spine and leaves an indelible mark on the soul. The skeptics and the believers, the doubters and the convinced, all locked in an endless debate, the truth of the haunted college hanging in the balance. The evidence may be lacking, the concrete proof elusive, but the stories persist, whispered from one generation of students to the next, each tale more spine-chilling than the last. As the sun sets over the college once again, the question remains, are we truly alone, or is something lurking in the shadows?